Bonjour everyone, I am the Comics Kid 2099 and I wanted to talk to you today about something that I haven't really talked about a whole lot on this channel. This video will be similar to some of my missed opportunities videos that you've probably seen before, except that these are opportunities that have not happened yet, so they haven't been missed. But these are things that I would like to see happen in Marvel's Avengerverse Phase 3. So far, we've had one set of movies, one phase, if you will, and that was about 5 or 6 movies. Phase 2 just started with Iron Man 3. There's a whole bunch more coming. I think a Thor sequel, a Captain America sequel, and then some stuff that's coming next year. I know a Guardians of the Galaxy movie, and I think Avengers 2 might be somewhere in there, but it's a good ways off if it is. After that, all that we know about Phase 3 is that the Ant-Man movie will be part of that mess. And this video is basically what I would like to see with some of these characters in the upcoming movies. Some of this, in fact, I would go ahead and say a lot of this probably isn't going to happen. These are just some of my thoughts, some things that I think could address some of the things that we've seen so far. So here we go, I guess. Right off the bat, we will start with Captain America. The Captain America movie was probably my favorite of the Phase 1 movies. I really liked the Captain America movie, I really liked the Incredible Hulk movie, and that was maybe it-ish. I like Iron Man 1 okay, I don't like it as much as everyone else, and I did not like Thor, and I did not like Iron Man 2. But with Captain America, I know we are going to be getting the Black Widow in Captain America's next film. She's going to be in it in a major way. I would like to see Captain America get with her. I would like for Captain America and Black Widow to be dating in the movieverse. I don't think that's ever happened in the 616 universe, the main line of comics. I don't think that's ever happened. I know in not the Ultimate Universe, but there was a animated movie based on the Ultimate Universe called Ultimate Avengers. That was a long time ago that came out, and I'm pretty sure there Captain America and Black Widow were an item. And I kind of like that idea here. I kind of like the idea of Captain America being this pure Boy Scout type character, and then Black Widow, she's got a very shady, colorful past, and she's done a lot of things that she's not proud of. And then these two, they get together, opposites attract, that sort of thing. I think that would be fantastic, and I think deep down in your soul you think it would be fantastic too. Beyond that, we know that in the second movie for Captain America, he is going to be facing off against the Winter Soldier. I have not read the Winter Soldier storyline from the comic books. I don't know if I'm ever going to read it, because once upon a time I was interested in reading Ed Brubaker's run on Captain America, but then that run lasted 9-ish years, and so I thought, you know what, I don't have to read this entire run. That would take me like a decade to track it all down and read it. So I don't think I'm going to be reading that storyline, but I am a little bit, I don't want to say nervous, but I'm a little bit cautious about the Winter Soldier showing up so early in the Captain America movies, because in a way it reminds me of the Green Lantern movies. You know, we had the Green Lantern live-action movie, singular movie, I said movies, I meant movie, and then I remember a lot of people saying, ooh, for the sequel, I would really like to see the Sinestro Corps War, and I was thinking, that's okay, except that this version of Green Lantern has been around for like 50 years. There's 50 years of stories that you could pull from when doing a sequel. Why pull from a story that is 2 years old? Now, it's not quite that drastic with Captain America. The Winter Soldier storyline was done, I think, in 2004, so by the time it hits the theaters, it will have been a 10-year-old story. So it's been a little bit of time since that story happened, but I still feel like they are skipping a lot of history with Captain America, and that kind of worries me. It makes me think that they don't think that there are many Captain America stories out there. Now, I am not someone who reads a lot of Captain America. I have, I think, one Captain America trade, and I will go ahead and say I don't really know much about Captain America's stories. I know his history in World War II. I know that he fought with the invaders, that he got the super soldier serum, and then he was put in an iceberg thing, and that's about all I know. After he gets out of the iceberg, I know that he worked with the Avengers, and that's basically it. I don't know a lot about his post-World War II rogues gallery, so I don't know what kind of movies they could do, so I guess I'm a little bit okay with them going ahead to the early 2000s for the next movie, or the first post-World War II movie. But you may be saying, okay, but what about Phase 3? You're talking about Phase 2 right now. You're right, I am. For Phase 3, I would love to see them use quite a bit of stuff from the Ultimate Universe. If you read the post-Ultimatum Ultimate Avengers comic book series, that featured the Ultimate Red Skull, and frankly, that storyline was extremely awful. It was an abomination in every sense of the word, except for the Emil Blonsky sense of the word. But one thing I really liked about that storyline was the origin of the Red Skull. In the 616 universe, the Red Skull was a Nazi. He was like Adolf Hitler's protege. He was basically the anti-Captain America. In the Ultimate Universe, we find out that the Red Skull is actually Captain America's son. We find out a month or two before he fell into the water and got frozen in ice, he had relations with Agent Carter. I don't think she was an agent in that line. Anyway, he had relations with her, and then she had a kid. The U.S. government bought the kid. It's a really shady storyline. And then the kid grows up, and when he's, I think, 18, out of nowhere, he just goes psycho and kills everyone in this military base where he grew up. And they were training him, trying to turn him into the next Captain America, and then just out of nowhere he goes crazy and kills all these people. He takes a knife and he carves the skin off of his face. So then from that point on, he goes out into the world trying to be an assassin, just kind of making his way in the world. I would really love to see a similar story used for a third Captain America movie. Now, I don't want them to say, oh, Captain America has an illegitimate son, now he has to chase after him. I really don't want that to happen, but I do think you could work in a new Red Skull into the already fairly open history of Captain America in the movies. We had a Red Skull in the 1940s. He fought Captain America. He got absorbed into the Cosmic Cube, I think. So technically it's possible that we might see that version of the Red Skull again, but the actor who played the Red Skull, his name is not coming to me right off the top of my head. The last I heard, he was not especially interested in coming back for this world. So I doubt that Marvel is going to aggressively pursue that. But I do think it would be neat if we could somehow say that the Red Skull and Hydra was working on some sort of Superman program where they were trying to genetically engineer these super children that would be able to help them run the world somehow. It's pretty much a storyline. We've kind of seen this before in Star Trek, the original series. We had genetically engineered humans. This is not a new concept. I think the way you can use this concept would be very interesting, though. You could say that, hey, after the defeat of Hydra, the prototype of S.H.I.E.L.D. that existed in the 1940s, they go into their bases and they find several of these super children that Hydra was planning to turn into living weapons against the Allies, and so they take these kids and they're like, okay, we don't have Captain America anymore, but maybe we can turn one of these kids into the next Captain America. And then from that point on, you basically use Ultimate Red Skull's origin. So then in the modern day, you've got a character who would be in his 60s, but because of the super soldier serum in his body, he would probably be fighting as if he was in his 30s. And so he would be a great match against Captain America. I would love to see this movie. Make it happen, Marvel. And also put Black Widow with Steve Rogers, because I really want to see that happen. Another character would be Tony Stark, who we've already seen at the very beginning of Phase 2 in Iron Man 3. Now, at the very end of Iron Man 3, Tony says in his narration, "I am Iron Man," and then he surgically has his arc reactor in his chest removed. A lot of people are saying, hold on a second, if his arc reactor is gone, can he still be Iron Man? I think he can, because Rhodey has an Iron Man suit, and Obadiah had an Iron Man suit in the first movie, and those guys did not have arc reactors in their chest. So I think it's technically possible for Tony to still be in the Iron Man suit in future stories, but I myself do not have to see him as Iron Man again. He's getting older, and I'm not just talking about Tony Stark. Robert Downey Jr. is in his 50s, and from what I understand, he got injured on the set of Iron Man 3 while shooting, and I think that he's probably ready to kind of stop doing this. I remember a few months ago, Downey Jr. was negotiating with his salary, and that ended up turning out okay in the sense that he will still be appearing in more Marvel movies. But I think that's definitely a sign that he is ready to get out, and the only reason that he is staying is because he's getting more money to stay. So I would absolutely be okay with Robert Downey Jr. staying in these movies for a little while longer, but I don't have to see him stay as Iron Man. Maybe if he was just consulting the Avengers or consulting S.H.I.E.L.D., but he wasn't actually joining in the fight. Now, there's any number of ways that you can keep him out of the fight. Maybe, inspired by real life, you could say that Tony Stark got injured and he's just staying out of the field for a little while he recuperates. Or, an idea that my good friend came up with, he said maybe Pepper finds out that she's pregnant, and so Tony, he goes into battle one last time, and then he says, okay, I'm hanging up the suit, somebody else can take it, Rhodey can replace me, but I have to stay here, I have a family now, I don't want to lose this family, I don't want this family to lose me. Now, a ton of people would hate this. If you saw all the rage that people had over the ending of Iron Man 3 with the villain, and the rage that people are having that Ant-Man will not be connected with Ultron, well, they would really hate the idea of Tony Stark having a kid in the movies and not having a kid in the comic books. And to that I would say, well, I think it's okay. These movies have been pretty dang close to the source material, and I can think of like 3 times in all of the Avengerverse movies where they have strayed from the source material. So I think it's okay when they do, as long as it is something that makes sense. And that is where people are going to kind of get upset because they don't think that these things make sense. But in my opinion, saying that Tony Stark is the creator of Ultron, that makes a decent amount of sense. So I don't think that that's something that we have to get our panties into a wad over. I also want to say I am not entirely against the idea of recasting these actors. I know a lot of people are saying Robert Downey Jr. is the only person who can ever play Iron Man, and if anyone else does, I will have a stroke and die. And to those people, I'm saying, get over yourselves, really. 100 years ago, people were saying, no, Tony Stark does not need to be played by Robert Downey Jr. People were saying, oh, Chris Evans does not need to be playing Captain America. And all of those people are now eating crow because those actors have done a fantastic job. And I don't think that they are the only actors who can play those characters. However, I think that it would be fine to just get rid of Iron Man and not have a replacement actor. I think that Marvel is going to recast Iron Man eventually because we've seen them do this with a whole bunch of other characters. They did it with the Hulk, they did it with Rhodey, they're doing it with one of the Warriors 3 in the upcoming Thor movie. They're not against recasting these characters, and pretty soon these actors, they're going to start getting older as actors tend to do, and so Marvel is soon going to recast a major character. We will have to wait and see if people are going to really dig the change when they change an actor, but I think that it's going to happen and people are probably going to get over themselves when they see the movie anyway. And so even though I would not be against the idea of recasting Tony Stark as a slightly younger actor, I am not saying that that's what I want to happen for these movies. I think it would be better if they just got rid of Tony Stark, and then that would allow them to showcase some of their other lesser known characters. So that would be kind of cool, I think. So to recap, I think that Captain America should get with the Black Widow. I think that Captain America should be fighting a second-generation Red Skull, and I would like to slowly phase Tony Stark out of these movies. That basically leaves Thor as the final member of the Marvel Trinity. What would I want to do with him? Well, I've made no secret about this, although I don't think I've ever mentioned this on my channel now that I think of it. I hated the Thor movie. I did not like it at all, and I'm not really looking forward to Thor: The Dark World. I will go and see it just because I don't want to see people spoiling it online, but I'm really not looking forward to it. That was definitely at the very bottom of the movies that I was anxious to see for this year, so I'm basically just going to see it reluctantly. My ideas for what I would like to see done with Thor in the future Marvel movies came partially from the comics and partially from the fact that I just really hated what they did with Thor in the first movie. So what would I want to see them do? Well, my idea was we actually see Ragnarok happen, or Ragnarok, or however you want to pronounce it. Basically, the end of the Norse pantheon. Some huge explosion or whatever, all or most of the Norse gods die, and then they are reborn on Earth. So then you have characters like Loki, Odin, Thor, I guess Sif and the Warriors 3, they are all reborn in mortal bodies, and then they slowly begin to remember, hey, we are not human, we are actually gods. This would be a really fantastic way to introduce these characters once again. You would be watching these guys, some of them would be really trying hard not to make the same mistakes that they did before. Maybe in trying to prevent themselves from doing that, they would be making other mistakes. Then you'd see characters like Odin and Loki, they would probably be making the same mistakes once again. This would be really fun. And for those of you who might be saying, this has never happened in the comics, how dare you, we should go and kill him. Well, this kind of sort of has happened in the comics. In J. Michael Straczynski's run on Thor, when he started, all of the Norse gods were reborn in human bodies, and Thor was going around reawakening them so that they could remember, hey, we were gods. And also, there was a brief point in the late 90s when Journey into Mystery was doing a story called The Lost Gods, and a lot of those characters weren't actually from the Thor comics, but they were similar to Thor and his supporting cast, and I remember very distinctly those characters were all on Earth. I think a couple of them had amnesia, so I would like to see some sort of synthesis of those two stories done in the movie. And if I'm being honest, I would probably be the only person interested in this story. I know a lot of other people really like the Thor movie. I know a lot of other people are looking forward to The Dark World. I am not one of those people. I basically just thought the way they handled the Thor movie, they so much screwed it up that I just wasn't interested in anything that they were ever going to do with Thor unless they basically rebooted it. And with this reboot, I would think maybe this would be a good time to recast some of your actors. Now, all the millions and millions and millions of people who really love Tom Hiddleston, they would not be able to stand for him to be recast. But as my friend who suggested having Tony Stark have a baby, as he said, if the fangirls are able to get over themselves when Doctor Who is recast, then they will be able to get over themselves if and when Loki is recast. And since Marvel can't seem to get it into their heads that, hey, we have other villains, since Loki is now going to be showing up for the third time for a third major appearance, it's very likely that they are going to keep using Loki for the next 5,000 years. So eventually, they are going to have to recast this character. They're going to have to recast all of these characters if they want to keep using these characters in movies. And I feel like starting a Ragnarok in the movies, that would be the perfect way to recast some of these characters. Now, you probably wouldn't want to recast all of them in one fell swoop, because then you really would be starting over, and what if everyone hates all of these actors? So you would probably only want to recast the ones who think that they've gotten too big for their britches, and then they want more money than Marvel is willing to give them, so then Marvel can say, okay, don't let the door door hit you on the way out. We're going to get this younger guy who can also play Loki or Thor or whatever. I'm not saying that those guys are too big for their britches, but after the Robert Downey Jr. negotiating for his salary thing, I can't help but think that this is inevitable, and soon all of these guys are going to be doing the same thing. So yeah, you don't have to recast all of the Thor characters, so you could certainly have a few of them like Sif or a couple of the Warriors 3. Maybe they somehow escape Ragnarok and then they are on Earth. Heck, maybe Lady Sif is the one who is trying to get all of the gods to remember who they were. Maybe that would be fun. But yeah, that's kind of what I would like to see done with Thor. And as I recall, that means I've talked about all three of the Marvel Trinity of characters, but there's a little bit more that I would like to see with Phase 3. Now, I've been hearing for a long time that Marvel wants to do a Doctor Strange movie. I personally really do not want to see this. I know they've done a pretty decent job adapting the characters that they have adapted, even with the ones that I hated the most, like Iron Man 2 and Thor. They still did a decent job making those movies. Having said that, I do not want to see Marvel do this. I really don't want to see them mess up Doctor Strange. In case you were wondering, I am a gigantic Doctor Strange fan, and I just don't think my soul could take it if Marvel messed this up. I really don't want to see Viggo Somethingson play Doctor Strange. I really don't want to see Johnny Depp playing Doctor Strange. I don't think I could take it, guys. I think my body would shut down. So in my own little ideal, what I would like to see done in the Marvel Phase 3 movies, I am saying there is no Doctor Strange movie, just because then I would be one happy camper, because they don't get the chance to mess it up. But I would like to see a Black Widow movie. I think that would be really cool. Now you may be saying, hold on a second, she's already in the Winter Soldier, and you're saying that you want her to date Captain America. Yeah, but we can have both of these things going on, right? We can have a Black Widow movie where maybe it's kind of like a James Bond movie. Maybe Nick Fury is kind of like M, and then Black Widow and maybe Hawkeye, they go off and have a buddy cop movie and they're fighting bad guys or whatever. And then they come back and it's like, and so, once again, the day is saved thanks to the Black Widow. I think that would be really cool. I don't think that this is ever going to happen. I think even with all the bazillions of dollars that Marvel has been making, and with Joss Whedon at the helm of the Avengers, I still don't think that we are going to get a woman-centric superhero movie in the foreseeable future. And by foreseeable future, I mean probably 25 years. I really don't think that we're going to be getting very many female superheroes on the big screen. If we do, it's probably going to be something like Captain Marvel, or maybe Captain Marvel, I guess the other Captain Marvel. I really can't think of any other female characters that Marvel would be willing to use, and I mean, that's a shame because they've already got the Black Widow up there, and I think it would be really neat to see kind of a Marvel James Bond movie. If you saw my rewrite of the X-Men movies that I did in September, I said basically the same thing about Mystique. I would love to see a solo Mystique movie, and in the same way I would love to see a solo Black Widow movie. So, make it happen, Marvel. And that is all I have to say in this video, guys. What did you think? Do you agree? Do you disagree? Let me know in the comments below. And if you liked this video, be sure to like, share, and subscribe. And I will be back tomorrow with another kind of video. I'll see you guys later. Have a great day. Hey guys, as you can see, I'm wearing a different shirt than I was in the rest of this video, and as you can also see, I am in a different place, and I'm also holding my camera. I'm doing all of this because I forgot to mention something in the rest of this video. I filmed what you saw in this video last night, and now I'm filming this the following day. It's around noonish, and you're going to hear cars going by. I'm just going to get this done real quick. Last night I mentioned Thor, I mentioned Captain America, I mentioned Iron Man, I even mentioned a Black Widow Hawkeye solo movie. Actually, it wouldn't be solo because they'd be working together. I forgot to mention the Incredible Hulk, guys. I even said I really like that movie in the video, and I forgot to mention it. What would I like to see done with the Incredible Hulk in Marvel's Phase 3? I would really like to see him have a movie. I know we got that one movie with Edward Norton.
I personally really liked Edward Norton. I know after the Avengers, everyone and their mom started saying that they didn't like Edward Norton as much and that they liked Mark Ruffalo a lot more, and a lot of people are even saying, oh well, now suddenly the Incredible Hulk can actually have different stories, and they're acting like that's Ruffalo's doing, when really it was the script. It was Joss Whedon changing the Hulk from being an outlaw and a runaway from the government into an ally for S.H.I.E.L.D., which I'm okay with that, because there have been plenty of Hulk stories where Hulk is not a runaway from the government. For example, right now he's working with S.H.I.E.L.D. In Peter David's run, I think most of that run he wasn't running away from the government. So I think there are definitely some interesting stories that we could see. There was a car that I mentioned earlier that you would be hearing. I would really like to see Hulk fight the leader. That was hinted at, and we still haven't gotten anything even kind of like that. I was talking to my friend who I've mentioned in this video. He was the one who was telling me some of the things that I could be talking about in this video, like Tony Stark having a baby. That guy, he was saying, I was talking to him actually about how I wouldn't mind if the leader showed up in the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. TV show as like the big bad, the one who maybe you're seeing all of these kind of low-level villains who have superpowers, but they're not very smart and they're not very strong, and then maybe you find out a good ways into the show that the leader is organizing all of this himself. I wouldn't mind that. I haven't been watching the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. show. In fact, I've been boycotting it. But if I was to find out that the leader was part of the show, I would definitely go in and watch it. But if they're not going to do that, then I would like to see the Hulk fighting the leader. And you wouldn't even have to have the Hulk is on the run from the government to do that. You could do, okay, Bruce Banner is now basically friendly with S.H.I.E.L.D. and friendly with the Avengers, and he happens to be fighting the leader. I think that could be really cool. I know a lot of people are wanting to see Planet Hulk and World War Hulk. I don't. For one, do you know how much CGI that would take? That would take an insane amount of CGI to have Hulk in the story for the entire movie. They've got Mark Ruffalo now. Everyone seems to like Mark Ruffalo. They're going to use Ruffalo. They're not going to completely shaft him like that if they're going to do Planet Hulk, because Planet Hulk was entirely Hulk. Bruce Banner was in, I think, one issue of the Hulk book that I have that collects Planet Hulk. And World War Hulk would basically just be a giant fight. I wouldn't really want to see that either. I would like to see something that's a little bit more story. Not to mention, I think we could have had... It would have been more likely to see Planet Hulk and then World War Hulk if Hulk had not been part of the Avengers. Way back when the Incredible Hulk movie came out, it was hinted that the Avengers was going to be put together to combat the Hulk, to fight the Hulk, to find the Hulk and capture him. And they didn't go in that direction. They went in a direction where basically from the beginning these guys are like, hey, we could use your help. And he's like, okay. So I can't see them suddenly going in a direction where the Avengers are trying to find a way to get the Hulk off of planet Earth. I don't see that happening now. It could have happened before the Avengers movie, but now we're not in a place where that could happen logically as far as story is concerned. They might 10 or 15 years from now, they might find some way to have Bruce Banner go completely crazy and destroy a couple of cities or something as the Hulk, and then the Avengers might say, let's try and get this guy on a paradise planet that's a couple of galaxies away. They might try to do something like that. I still wouldn't really want to see that. There are plenty of other Hulk stories that they could do with him on Earth as a friend to the Avengers. So that's about all I have for the Hulk. And what do you guys think? This time I really am ending this video. So I'll see you guys later. Have a good day.